Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus A330 pilot and welcome to our first flight in the Beluga XL by InnyBuilds in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Now this is a really interesting one for me, as I'm really excited to see what Airbus have done to my beloved Airbus A330. I do have to say though, the Beluga looks really cool, especially if we're getting close up front and just see the huge size of this aircraft. Now, small missing texture on the engine covers over there, let's not get dwelled up on that, but overall a really good looking aircraft if you ask me. Now let's go ahead and remove all the pitot covers, remove the chocks and remove the engine covers over here as well. And then we can head right into our beloved aircraft. Now if you're wondering how you are actually boarding this aircraft, they do have a hidden door somewhere down here. That's quite cool, isn't it? Alright, so let's go ahead and take a seat in our, well, kinda familiar cockpit. After all, this is based on the A330 aircraft, so really similar. Alright then, let's go ahead and start to power it up. We are going to fly towards Toulouse today, transporting two Airbus A320 fuselages. So down here on the cargo panel we can choose different loads of cargo, and we've got the two A320 fuselages today. We could also take, for example, an A350 fuselage section or two A350 wings. By the way, really nice to see what weight these have each, as it really gives you an idea of how solid these aircrafts actually are. Okay, so 2 times A320 fuselage today, but first of all we gotta open that cargo door, and in order to be able to do that we've got to start powering the aircraft up. So let's go ahead. We do have a ground power unit in place today. So engine master's off, engine starter norm, the weather radar is turned off. Then landing gear lever down, the wipers are off, and the batteries are all above 25.5 volts. So batteries are coming on, and the external power is coming on as well. Okay then, we're gonna give it a short while to start its boot up process over here. In the meantime, our radio panels can go to 1 to 2.8 on number 1 and 1 to 1.5 on number 2. And here we go. Okay, listening to both of those. Make sure to turn that volume up. Make sure that the volume of the loudspeaker is up. Somewhere around halfway normally works pretty well. Okay, so what do we have here? FCMC 1 and 2 fault. Okay, here we go. That's better. I did have one of those when operating on the line already. Not a nice one. Okay, so let's go ahead and start up the APU so that we get some air conditioning going. So APU master and APU starter. Come on, here we go. Alright, IRSs 1, 2 and 3 over the nav, and the cockpit lights are set as needed. I'm gonna keep the backlighting on over here just because it is getting late already. Okay, so then let's go ahead and continue with our EFB setup. So, import the flight from SimBrief. It's going to be the Beluga 1-to-1 hotel from Saint-Nazaire over to Toulouse. And if we have a look at the OFP, I based my flight on the A330-200 model and selected the zero fuel weight based upon what I got down here in the payload section with the zero fuel weight that is estimated according to our load. Now, let's go ahead and have a look at our, I was about to say performance, and here we have it. So, runway 25 in use, we're going to synchronize the weather with the current one. Takeoff weight, let's calculate 143 tons for the time being. Config 1 plus F, air conditioning off, anti-ice off, force torque off, calculate, and surprise, we can take off. Who would have thought that that is possible? Alright, looking very good. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and actually start working our way around the cockpit over here. As for our loading, let's have a look at this. Here we go, slowly opening, very, very slowly. But this is a huge door. Look at the size of the person down there. Now, how high is this door? 5 times the person? 10 meters? Maybe? It is a huge one indeed. We also have some cargo spaces located in the back, by the way. So you can load some cargo down here, as we can see down here. Let's say rear cargo, bulk cargo. Here we go. Those are the easy ones. Look at this. Okay, so as our front cargo door is opening, we can see it takes a little while. So let's go ahead and start working on the rest of our flight deck preparation in the meantime. So recall is looking good. Brake pressure is looking good. Let's see. So oxygen is looking good, 1500 psi. Hydraulics are okay, and the engine oil quantity is okay for the flight today. Alright. So then, last but not least, the flaps are in agreement with the lever, spoilers retracted. We're going to keep the parking brake set right now. We'll test the brakes later on. Okay, so let's have a look over at SimBrief. According to SimBrief, we need around about 9.5 tons of fuel. I'm gonna take quite a bit more because I'm fairly sure that since this profile is based on the A330-200, the Beluga is going to use quite a bit more. So I tell you what, we are absolutely not weight critical. Let's upload 20 tons of fuel because, hey, it doesn't cost us anything, right? The airlines are gonna pay for that. Okay, so cargo and start loading, please. Can we see any of that visually? Not yet. But man, look at this cargo space. This is really huge, isn't it? Alright, so that's 6,300 kilograms of payloads, which are getting loaded down here. Okay, for our fuel, oh boy, we said we wanted to use 20 tons. So, apply that load, please. And here they come. Our A320s. Looking a little bit strange, to be honest, through the building. It would have been nice if they had included some of the actual Airbus loading ramps. We are at the actual factory in Saint-Nazaire over here, but as you can see, it's just a generic building. Would have been really nice if they had done something there in order to make this a little bit more realistic, but hey, here they come. Look at that. Okay, so our loading is about to be completed. Then let's go ahead and start with our pre-flight procedures. So, oxygen crew supply on, flight recorder ground control. Interesting, why is that an off position? That should be an on switch. Interesting. Maybe a bug. I'll have to report that to AnyBuild, see what they say. Okay, the rest is set over here. Then let's go ahead and turn those lights on. Seatbelts, no smoking, emergency exits. We'll take the APU bleed as well. The heaters can be turned off. We will talk a little bit more about them in flight as they are really a genius tool. Alright, engine fire test. It's looking good, and down here everything is looking good as well. Onto the main panel then. We set our QNH as 1017 for the time being. And here we go. Okay, so everything is set down here. Time and date are looking good. Clock onto GPS mode, please. And everything's set over here. So moving down then, we get to the weather radar panel and we can turn the ground controls system on. Weather radar tilt up, calibrated is selected. Excellent. For the squawk, we'll go with 2000 for the time being. And I really don't know why this is, why that flap click spot is blocking. Okay, perfect. Then let's go ahead and start our FMS setup. So, FM1, A330-700, Trent 700 engines, current nav database. Nav accuracy downgraded, AC position invalid, align RS, weights cleared, that's all okay. Alright, init, request, flight plan. Here we go, Sonia is there to... Flight number is 121 Hotel, cost index 14, flight level 290. Okay, so onto the flight plan. Let's see. Weather was for runway 25 here, 280 at 6. So runway 25, and our first waypoint is Airbeam. And we should have that one, Airbeam? No, Airbeam. Okay, so it looks like we do actually not have any SID for that. Let's go ahead and have a look at the different charts that we do have available. So, Lima Fox Romeo Zulu. Charts. So, 07. Let's see that. So, this one seems to go into the right direction here. Via Nantes towards Lugen. Is that on our flight plan by any chance? Yeah, November Tango Sierra is on there. I tell you what, we're gonna take the Lugen 1 Echo, and we might just have to merge out of that SID. Alright. Lugen 1 Whiskey, then. Is it Whiskey? Yeah, because I took the wrong runway. Okay, that happens. Here we go. That is looking better. Alright, insert that, and for our arrival we are going into Toulouse with the ILS approach. Let's go ahead and select those charts so that we know what we are taking. LFBO, Toulouse-Blagnac. Charts. Approaches, 32 left. ILS. That's the one. So it's just the ILS approach, nothing special over there. Then let's go ahead and have a look at what we've got in our flight plan here. Arriving by the Sachet 8 November. Here we go, Sachet 8 November. And then let's have a look at that chart, stars 32. Show me the chart, please. Here we go. So, coming in from Sachet towards Ageno. Or Ogril. Let's see what we have. Ageno. Perfect. That's what we're going to take. So, insert flight plan. Now let's go ahead and have a look at what we've just created. Yeah, what's that doing? Okay, so Lugan, thereafter 2 power, and I think then we should be good, huh? So clear this one, clear this one, clear this one, and look at that, Lugan is actually on our route. Then I wonder why SimBrief gave us such a strange flight plan. But here we go, that's it. Okay, let's move down. Sachet, Agent, Ageno, and onto the final approach. Beautiful. That's exactly what we've been looking for. Okay. Then we can put those charts, well, at least those arrival charts away for the time being. Let's go ahead and find our departure charts once again. So, departures 2-5, pin, and pin. And then we need the airport chart as well. Pin that one. And the facility chart as well. Alright, so save charts and sit runway 25. Here it is. Alrighty. So, straight at waypoint 801, maximum 260 knots. Well, that should be in, oh, sorry, I wanted to say that shouldn't be green, but that should be magenta. Thereafter we continue 803, with a left-hand turn, November Tango Sierra. Here it is, and then on towards Lugan. And that's it. Okay, so if we look at the SID PT, then there is no initial climb published. Looks good to me. Right, let's put those away. Then we've got the secondaries, and we can take those. RadNav is in, and Lima Fox Romeo Zulu 25 into here, and then let's go ahead and insert our engine out points. So, one more look at the chart for now. So, Sierra November Romeo, emergency 2 into here, and then we have Lima Fox Romeo Zulu 25 with a runway track 254 for 25 miles straight ahead. PVD store. Okay, secondary, then Sierra November Romeo X2. Put that in here, pick up the hold, like that, and immediate return, Lima Fox Romeo Zulu, into here, runway 25, has an on-off approach available, let's select that, insert, here we go. Wonderful, okay, off to the weights then, 133.8, and we should have papers by now, so let's just take it directly from here. So, where are we? Zero fuel weight, 133.9 actually, 2 kilos more. And 24.5, that's okay. So 133.9 slash, what did I say? 24.5. Okay, block fuel 20. And then onto the takeoff performance. We've got flex 60, and that's with conf 1 plus F. So, 160. Let's see, for the trim we're looking at 4.7 up. Okay, takeoff speeds 127, 127, 132. Alright, looking good. So, we are below 200 tons, so we're going to take derated climb 2, and that's it. FMS is completed. Initial climb then, probably somewhere around 5,000 or so. I'll just set 5,000. So, flight directors are on, QNH 1017, constraints, and you can bring on the VORs, please. Like that. Okay. And that's our setup completed. Well then, let's go ahead and close the cargo door. Okay, external power can be disconnected. So, here we go, looking very, very good. Okay. So the only thing that's missing now is our pushback functionality. I could swear there was one here. What did I do now? Not sure. I didn't touch anything. I literally deleted everything there, huh? Okay, the aircraft still has everything. The rest isn't all that important. Leave it like that. Here we go. Small change now. It's 58 degrees. Flex. And the speeds 272732. Stab trim 5.1 up. And that is all looking good. Perfect. Okay, then I think we are well prepared. So let's start our departure briefing, please. Okay, takeoff from Saint-Nazaire. We are going to use the full runway length over here. First cleared altitude 5000 MSA. We are heading out to the open water. And we have 2000 feet as our MSA. Extra fuel and time, 8 tons according to the Simbri flight plan. We'll have to see what it actually turns into. Yep, sounds good. So I don't see any hotspots for the taxi, however we do have to backtrack the runway if I'm not mistaken. So that is a little bit of a threat there, as it's been a very, very long time, basically ever since I'm alive, that I have taxied a Beluga. So we'll have to go all the way to the full length. Engine out, sit straight at 25 miles, pick up the holding in 3000. We can come back immediately if we need to. We are far, far, far below the maximum landing weight, so that's nothing to worry about. I don't have any specials or non-standards over here. Do you have any threats for the departure? No. Beautiful. That's our briefing complete. Then let's do the cockpit preparation checklist, please. Gear pins and covers removed. Fuel quantity. Interesting, it's missing the white lines. That's gotta be a bug. Okay, fuel quantity 19,960 kilograms balanced. Seatbelts on, ADRs. Nav. Barrel ref, QNH 1017. Cockpit preparation checklist complete. Okay, so far so good. Now I do believe we'll have to get ground services from down here. No? Yes, no, maybe? We're looking for a pushback. Well, let's do via the ground. 1895. Ground services. Request pushback.
Saint-Nazaire ground Beluga Bravo, Echo Lima X-ray 1 requesting pushback.
Oh boy.
Saint-Nazaire ground Beluga Bravo, Echo Lima X-ray 1, no pushback tug is available to answer your request.
Oh, thank you so much. So how exactly are we gonna get out of this position then? Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, well, if that's what they say, then that's what it is for now. I have a very bad idea how we could do this. That's basically using reverse thrust. I suppose we have no choice then. Of course, this is absolutely not allowed in the real world. But if they don't want to give us a pushback tug, then tell me exactly how we are supposed to get out of this. Might turn out rather difficult, so let's give it a go. Before start checklist, please. Park and brake. Set, takeoff speeds and thrust. V1 127, VR 127, V2 132, flex 58. Windows. Closed, beacon on, before start checklist complete. Okay, ground from cockpit. Go ahead. So, please confirm doors and hatches closed, general equipment removed, and the bypass pin is installed. That's all confirmed. Okay then, we are starting engines in sequence 1 and 2. Clear to start. Okay, engine 1 start. Okay, startup is in progress, and since it is an automatic engine start, I will just take a small detour and actually close that flight deck door. Here we go. So, number 1 is coming up, very good. Let's clear all those sunshades already. We'll only need them later, I suppose, with the sun slowly setting down. Okay, engine 2 start. And once they've both started up, we can go ahead with our procedures. Around about a minute or so. Okay, almost there. And here we go. Okay, ground, we have 2 good engine starts. You're clear to disconnect. Show me the pin on the left side, please, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. So, it's automatically trimmed itself. Very good. We'll turn 1 pack off for air conditioning. After start checklist, please. Anti-ice. Off. Econ status. Checked. Pitch trim. 24.7%. Rudder trim. Neutral. After start checklist complete. Okay, flight control track. Full up. Full down, neutral. Full left, full right, neutral. Rudder, full left, full right, neutral. Okay, let's give this a go. Lights on, brakes off, onto the wheel brakes. Make sure we don't smash into that building. So, off the brakes. Let's see if we can reverse out of this. No. In that case, we gotta try this way. And crash detection has us in the building. Okay. Well, Shift P, is that eventually gonna work? No. I gotta love this simulator. Interesting bump down. Okay, stand by 1 moment and I will be right back. Alright, so let's go ahead and just use the standard pushback then. So that's going to be Alt-P. Suppose that's the best we have available. Unfortunately, you're really just stuck to going in a straight line here. No steering or anything the likes, but hey, as long as we're clear of the building in the end, I suppose that is going to be good enough for us. So, suppose we just stop it over here, and then we should be able to start taxiing from here just now. And what's that? It's killed engine 1. But the EPR... Oh boy. No, probably needs some bleed. So, exhaust bleed open, and here we go. I tell you what, if we can do single engine taxi, why not do it? Only have a single thrust lever on my mobile setup, so we gotta do things this way. But I don't want to wait all the time just for that engine to start up. Yeah, we can pull you in idle like that. Alright, looks like a good engine start on number 1 once again. Okay, here we go. Oh, hello there. V1. And here we go again. That's everything set back to the originals. Well, small troubles, even with the indie-built aircraft, occasionally it seems. So, approaching the first turn, make sure we have 10 knots maximum. It's really strange that we are sitting so low. And you can see that the cockpit has been lowered compared to the standard A330 aircraft, so it just feels somewhat strange to sit in here. Okay, strobes on and clear on the left side. Clear on the right side. Very good. So, shallow turn over here. Look at that, they don't even have runway centerline markings. That is strange. Okay, so, out on the way to the runway, and just a quick check of the status page one more time. Just pack 2, excellent. Alright, so, looking good so far, then. No changes to the takeoff briefing? Takeoff config button doesn't work. Here we go. Well, pressing them 100 times seems to have helped. Okay, once the backtrack is completed, we can go, so let's go ahead and do all the switching already. And the taxi checklist, please. Flight controls, checked. Flap setting, conf 1 plus F. Radar and predictive wind shear, on and auto. Engine start selector, norm. Here we go, norm. And ecam memo, takeoff, no blue. Taxi checklist complete. Okay, lineup checklist. Takeoff runway, 25, full length. TCAS, Tara, PAX 1 and 2, off. Lineup checklist complete. So, let's see how this Beluga is gonna fly. Gotta be sure to stay clear of the trees over there. Unfortunately, there is no lines drawn anywhere onto here. Okay, 2.5 full length. Are you ready? Yes. Perfect. Timing. So a little bit forward stick. Come on. Manflex 58, SRS, auto thrust blue. Thrust set. The thrust is setting much too quick here. The engines should respond quite a bit slower. 100 knots, checked. Rotate. Oh, very responsive aircraft. Positive climb. Gear up. Yeah. Bye-bye. Nav. Checked. Autopilot 1. Thrust declimb 2, climb, auto thrust. Flap 0. Speed checked. Flaps 0. Funny how ATC suddenly came up with "you were not cleared for takeoff." I'm like, we were also not cleared to push back, to taxi, to backtrack, but okay. Just advise us once we're actually in the air. Okay, climb flight level 100, and we've certainly got to do something against that sun. Here we go. That's more like it. So, quick check, transition altitude is located at 5,000. Alright, so far so beautiful. I gotta say, the airplane handled, again, rather twitchy. Of course that may just be down to the hardware I'm using at the moment, since I'm currently using my Thrustmaster Airbus stick for everything, as this one is recorded in a mobile setup. Set standard. Standard cross check, passing flight level 53 now. Checked. Okay, let's see. A good shortcut, direct to Cognac, Charlie November Alpha. The French are very good with directs, so this is probably realistic here. Okay, direct Charlie November Alpha. Rate of climb 2,500 feet a minute. Of course, not all that good, but then again, we are flying with a D-rate 2 climb, and we've got this huge piece of an airplane here that probably has a little bit of drag, just a little bit. But we gotta say, this does look really good, doesn't it? Okay then, we're filed at flight level 290, let's go all the way to level 290. Let's alt cruise, flight level 290 blue. So, looking really awesome, isn't it? So as mentioned, the A330 doesn't climb all that well. You can see even right now we're at a very light weight, just 152.5 tons. and we just get 2,200 feet a minute out of the aircraft. Of course, as mentioned, it has a lot of drag due to the large cross-section of the fuselage, which needs to be moved through the air. And on top of that, of course, we are using the climb D-rate. If we took that out, we'd get quite a bit better rate of climb, but it just saves money to keep it in, so we are going to do just that. Passing 10,000, lights off, signs off, and we don't need the constraints anymore. Let's go over to airports. Here we go. So, clear and copy, please. Nothing up here, nothing up here. Copy that one. So, cruise 290, optimum 415, maximum 415. I do have a feeling, though, that 415 is a little bit ambitious, so 290 is going to be just fine. That is also the level that they used in the real world, so I think we're totally fine with that. Now, on a small note over here, the optimum level in the current version of the Inibuilds A330 is only based on the gross weight and the temperature, but it doesn't take the length of the route into account, which the real one would do. So the real one would give you a much more sensible optimum level, but we'll talk about greater detail in that in the upcoming tutorial. Over here, top of descent in around 200 miles, so I think we are good to go to climb with a D-rate in all the way up flight level 290, but no higher. Now, the rate of climb we're seeing at the moment is rather similar to what we mostly have on the A330 going long haul at somewhere 220 or 230 tons. So the time to climb to cruise level in this aircraft simply is very long, and that's completely normal. So if you're departing at maximum takeoff weight, depending on the version of the aircraft, between 233 and around 245 tons, the Neo again has slightly different numbers as well. It can take around 30 to 35 minutes to get all the way to cruising level, and that's completely normal. That really is completely normal. Now, let's go ahead and turn on a couple of the lights here. We'll turn on the floodlights. Interestingly enough, we don't see anything of them. Have they finally fixed that bug? Let's keep an eye on the floodlights. I want to see if anything comes on there throughout the course of the flight. Because in the real world, during bright daylight, those floodlights are absolutely not seen. The same in the 737. If you had the backlights on the panel on during daylight, you wouldn't see anything of them, because it's just so bright. Only when it's getting dark, that is when you slowly start to notice it, and during night they actually appear very, very bright. So if that is actually simulated now, that'd be really, really great. Really, really great. Now, something I do know is that they did put quite a bit of work into the light emissions in the simulator. However, many aircraft still don't simulate it properly, and that includes many of the defaults. For example, the sunshades should, of course, cast the entire cockpit in a little bit of yellow, since most of the light is filtered through the yellow sunshades. But in MSFS, that was never possible. In FS24, as far as I'm aware, it is possible, even though it was just added last minute and therefore has not really been implemented by most of the add-on developers, which is a little bit of a pity, but we can live with it, can't we? Now, here you see something typical A330. The rate of climb really goes down. The A330 does not climb very well. And by the time we reach 290, it will be less than 1,000 feet a minute. Probably, well, if we went all the way to the FMS optimum, which of course we normally do on the long haul, then it would go down somewhere around 500 feet a minute or so. it really does not climb very well. We can see it here as well. We're 10 minutes in the air now, and we've just reached flight level 170. That is not a very good rate of climb. Of course, removing the D-rate would once again help to get up higher, quicker, but those Rolls-Royce engines especially have quite a bit of maintenance requirements if you operate them at the maximum temperatures. And if you look at this, even at D-rate climb 2, we are already pretty close to the maximum EGT. Especially the Rolls-Royce engines have that tendency that if you climb with the full climb thrust, you can easily get them into the upper temperature limit if the outside air condition is right. So, especially when you're operating hot and high airfields, say Johannesburg in summer, 30 degrees and 5,500 feet elevation, that can really cause trouble to the aircraft. Luckily though, in the Beluga, that is all not gonna be our problem. In the Beluga we are only doing lovely European operations, so we don't really have to worry about any of that. Now, talk about European operation. What kind of flights exactly do the Belugas do in the real world? Well, let's find out for a moment. So, the way I found out about this particular flight over here is by having a look at Flight Radar 24. And they have all the real world Belugas in there. So if we just bring this up for a second, then over here, I just go to the registration of the aircraft, in this case Fox Golf X-Ray Lima Golf. And then down here I can see all the different flights and the call signs and everything that this particular aircraft type has done. Overall, not too many different flights, to be honest, but I'm rather happy with this. And if we look at this, you can see that they actually only go to around level 290, even on longer flights. And this is something we can observe on many different ones. So over here, that one goes to level 310, also not that high. So they really do not climb all the way to the level 400s and stuff. Now, I can only guess why that is the case. My personal guess is that the pressure vessel of the Beluga just can't take the differential pressure it would take to go all the way up there. That is my guess, that it's due to the pressure cabin not being able to take the limit. If we go to the pressurization page, you should be able to see something over here as well, but for the time being, this limit here, around 9 is in the real world, 9.25 I believe. This one seems rather similar. Of course, we don't know whether that's because AnyBuilds didn't simulate it or because it actually is the same. Both could be the case. Now look at this, passing flight level 200, the rate of climb drops to 1,000 feet a minute. That's normal, don't worry about it. Of course, if air traffic control asks you to increase your rate of climb, then you can just go ahead and delete the D-rate up there. But normally, we don't really need to do that. Especially operating long haul, who cares if we're taking 35 minutes to get to cruise level? Who cares? Now, one thing that I really like about the A330's rate of climb is actually that because it climbs so shallow, the cabin pressure also takes very, very long to rise to cruising level. This means less strain on your ears and less requirement to do your pressure equalization. So it makes the airplane feel quite a bit more comfortable if you actually climb that slow compared to if you climb faster. Now, let's go ahead and put the aircraft to a test though. We're climbing at 900 feet a minute right now with a D-rated climb 2. Let's go ahead and delete that. So, thrust climb. Let's see what we are gonna get now. Some 400-500 feet a minute would be totally normal. At higher gross weights though, remember we are very light for an A330. The max takeoff weight is 233 tons for the version this one is based on. So we are like 80 tons below that. So yeah, 1500 feet a minute seems quite reasonable to me. Of course, we gotta take into account the immense drag that the Beluga probably has. Alright, so, as we're climbing, let's go ahead and take a moment to have a look around not just the cockpit, but also the cabin of the aircraft. So, using the Shift and then WASD keys, you can move around like this. So, milady, you have control. Let's open up that door, and here we are in the cabin. Now, we do have a coffee maker in here. I guess this down here is probably going to be a fridge then. Not all too many details. And then, of course, we have a couple of jump seats available. And that's it. That's where you end over here. On the other end side, if we go over to the left side of the fuselage, we have another jump seat and our toilet down here. Well, and that's everything we have in the cabin of the Beluga. Up here, we could make our way up into the cabin, as far as I'm aware. Well, and that's it. So, not especially comfy, but then again, you don't do long flights with this either. Of course, it could do long flights, but Airbus doesn't use it for it, so why give it too much of a cabin there, if you can also just, you know, sit up here in the flight deck, or just sit on your jump seats. I mean, the longest flight they do is like 2 hours 20, 2 hours 30. People will survive over there. So, lovely wind up here, 105 knots. That's how I like it. That's how I really like it. Let's go ahead and set the weather radar down a little bit. -1 or something. No returns anywhere. Well, makes me wonder why that is. I think down there I can see a little bit. Let's see. If we go to smaller range, can we get any of those weather returns? Well, there is one single green dot right over here. Not really worth checking out. Weather radars often have those small returns without there being any actual reason for it, so that is nothing to worry about. Speed, vertical speed, plus 1000. And 1000 to go. So, something you will notice is that the maximum speed here is a lot slower than it is on the standard Airbus A330s. Of course, with such a huge cross-section over here, there is no surprise that the maximum speed is rather limited compared to, well, let's say compared to your average A330, which of course has a whole different fuselage section. I'm really wondering how the descent performance of the Beluga is gonna look like, but I guess we are gonna find out very soon. So, reaching level 290, 19 minutes in the air. Now we can't really do a fuel check here because, let's face it, this is made for the A330-200. So we are basically flying without a flight plan here, but that's fine. All I needed was a route and the ability to import from SimBrief. Okay, reaching cruise level. Takeoff below is selected. Time to get the table out. Time to start eating a little bit. Do some paperwork. And wonder why it's going into the overspeed. You're in speed mode. Now it's reducing power. Man. Is it gonna overspeed? Just about, huh? What is it doing here? Is it just maintaining the maximum speed? Why? Auto thrust is on. Levers in CL. Managed 0.69. Actual 0.70. I mean, if this is 70, then this is not 69. There's something wrong with the managed speed here. Let's go select it. Oh, target Mach 0.99. Something tells me no. .69. This is where the managed should be. Okay, now auto thrust is responding. Well, that's an interesting one. Set managed speed. No. Interesting. There must be a bug with the auto-throttle there. I can't imagine the real one to ignore the managed speed. Not an Airbus. Definitely not an Airbus. Okay, well, let's go ahead and start our approach setup then. Or just take a small moment to enjoy the lovely views. I mean, look at this. I gotta say, I really like the sun, and there is something special to it in this simulator. I can't tell exactly what it is just yet, but there is something special to it. But man, I do like this. I'm probably gonna fly this one a little bit more often on this channel. Alright, let's go ahead and do a little bit of approach preparation here. So, Toulouse, weather update. 300 at 11, Kavok 8 degrees, QNH 1021. Here we go. Okay, Toulouse, well, we'd have the weather over here as well, but I kind of prefer to use it this way. Alright, so, arrivals, 3-2 left, stars. Add to the, clip please, approaches, ILS 3-2 left, and do we need the on-off transitions? Let's see that. Yep, we do. So we're going to take you, and then the airport chart. So over here we've just got to check what we have available and what we do need. This one for sure. And I think there will probably not be any parking chart for the Airbus gates, as those are basically private ramps. Yeah, as expected. Then we can just do with the actual AGC, and that should be sufficient. Okay, so let's start with a star. Again, this position over here is probably incorrect. We haven't even overflown Séché yet. So Séché is between level 150 and 240, and we have that, as we can verify up here. From there we proceed towards Agen, and then down towards Ageno. and Ageno is down here above level 80. Perfect. Then, from there, we continue on the CDO transition. So, from Ageno towards waypoint Bravo Oscar 602, above 5,000 feet. And we do have that. Then we continue on to the final, towards the India Oscar 32 left, maximum 210 and above 3,000 feet. And then we continue on the ILS chart. So let's head over. And here we go. So, starting, we've got 10.9, which is probably going to be the TBN 11. Then we've got 7.9 miles, which is our final approach point. And we have that down here, TBN 79. 3-degree glide slope, which we have on the chart down here. And then going down to a minimum, Cat Charlie aircraft. We are within the maximum 65 to 7 limit, so 700 feet is going to be our minimums. Now, for the go-around, we proceed straight at inbound Toulouse VOR, radial 143 inbound, then outbound until 10 DME, and over here we've got 10 DME Toulouse, and that one is at 4,000 feet, which we have in here as well. The plane tells us it's unable to reach that, but I don't think so. Okay, then we continue with a left-hand turn, 250, onto the 10 DME arc, the 18 DME arc from Toulouse towards Sullet. And we have that in here. And Sullet at 5,000. So initially 4,000, and then later on to 5,000. Alright, on the RATNAV page, if we are flying so much via Toulouse, let's go ahead and turn it as well, or tune it as well. Tango Oscar uniform. Initial course is 143 inbound, and then 303 outbound. I'm going to use 303 over here, because flying inbound is easy. Alright, Toulouse 32 left is selected, then on to the performance. So, QNH is 1021, temperature 8, and last but not least, the weather please. 300 at 11. I gotta say, this EFB here is nice. I just wish we had it in a physical form in the flight deck to put it up here on the tray table or something the likes. That would really make our life easier. So, minimum 700 we set. Here we go. Now, let's go ahead and do a config 3 landing, because why not? And last but not least, the MSA in case I missed approach 3000. Fuel prediction, 2 hours extra, which at 9 tons means we are using 4.5 tons per hour. Seems rather realistic. On the passenger version we say around 5.5, 5.7. So this is quite okay. So, copy the active, then we can get rid of the charts. Auto brakes low, and that's it. Now, a small difference between the A320 and the A330 is if you select flaps config 3 for landing on the A330, you don't need to set that on the GPWS panel. As you can see, there is no button for the flap config anyway up here. Okay, we're about to reach our top of descent, so let's go down. Flight level 150 is gonna be our first restriction, but I'm gonna take it a little bit further down. So descent alt, flight level 150 magenta. Let's go manage speed, see what it's gonna do. Interesting. This is strange. It looks to me like it attempts to pitch down, but for some reason then always starts to pitch up a bit and then wobbles a little up and down. That doesn't seem too right. Okay, in any case, we are now above the profile. We gotta be in level 240 at Séché, and that can only mean one thing. Here we go. Speed brakes out. It might not look all that effective, but this speed brake easily doubles your rate of descent. It is a very, very good tool on the A330, and apparently on the Beluga as well. So let's see, 2000 above the profile, wonderful. We started the descent early, didn't we? Now here is something. This flight level 150 magenta is not correct. The aircraft should only go to alt magenta if it actually expects to level off at the level in question. So only if it expects that we need to level off in 150, it would show it magenta. Otherwise, it would just stay blue. Which is the reason why over here at Sachet we should never have gotten the magenta flight level 150. Just a small point here about Airbus theory. And actually one that I do realize many people in flight simulation don't exactly get right, so why not explain it straight away? Okay, speed, back on profile, looking good. So let's put the table away. And here we are. Now I promised you on the ground that I would talk a little bit about the heaters that we have up here. Heater Captain and Heater First Officer. Now, those are really, really good systems. Now let's say we've got a situation like the one in which we are right now. The sun is on the right hand side and our lady is sitting exactly in the sun. What's the possible effect? Of course, she's gonna become rather hot. And yeah, keep it at that, she's hot. Now, because she's feeling hot, she might now turn the cockpit temperature selector down. But we, on the left-hand side, on the side that is not exactly in the sun, are sitting in the shadows. So for us, it feels quite a bit colder than it does for her, sitting in the sun at the moment. What's the solution for that? Well, Airbus is offering those optional heaters up here, and those basically can be used to increase the cabin temperature on one side while keeping the temperature on the other side down. So now we could go ahead and turn the cockpit temperature down a little bit so that the first officer feels comfortable again, and then we can turn the heater on our side so that the left side of the cockpit becomes warmer than the right side. The same can of course be done the other way around as well. So that's a really cool thing to make you feel, well, to make both pilots feel much more comfortable. Very well done, Airbus. Very well thought out. Especially on those long flights, and especially when you are flying in a time zone that you are not really used to, especially when going eastbound. Your body is still feeling like it's, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., but the sun is already coming up. And especially in that time when your body is in the window of Cardian low, so that's basically between 2 and 5 in the morning. When your body is in the window of Cardian low, then it normally wants the outside temperatures a little bit warmer. If you now have one pilot sitting in the sun and the other not, believe me, the fight about the temperature dial is gonna come up. And for this reason, those heaters are really, really good tools. By the way, lovely to see those sun effects up here. Gotta take a screenshot of that. That's looking fantastic, isn't it? Beautiful. Really beautiful. Now we don't need this one anymore, nor do we need this one anymore. What a beautiful whale this is. So by now I would actually be rather happy if those floodlights slowly became available, but still nothing. I would slowly expect to see a little bit of yellowish shine over here from those floodlights. But okay. Alright, we've passed 15,000. The seatbelt signs are gonna come on now. Not that we'd really need them. I mean, you'd only have Airbus employees flying on this aircraft, so you could probably turn them on at 10,000, and that's a legal requirement. So well. Once again, have a look at the speeds over here. Maximum speed 295. So that may be something for all those VATSIM controllers among you currently watching this. For the IVAO controllers as well, of course. If you see an A337, that's the Beluga XL. Remember, it can't fly as fast as the standard A330s. If you instruct 300 knots, ain't gonna work. And as a pilot, I wouldn't accept anything that's, 285 or higher. Don't go too close to the red band. It's only paperwork if you go into it. And you're not helping anyone. So, as a pilot, or rather as a controller, if I see the Beluga, again, that's A337, Alpha 337, the type code. Well, for the Beluga XL, of course. Should mention that. Be sure that you keep the maximum speed of the aircraft in mind. Otherwise, the pilot is gonna tell you anyway. Okay, so let's go down all the way. We've got the flight level 80 restriction, so we can't set the QNH just yet. Let's go down to flight level 80 then. Thrust descent. Probably gotta start tidying the cockpit up a little bit. I am, however, gonna keep the sun shades over there. We do not want our lady to get blinded. Alright, and down there it is. Toulouse. Now for Toulouse itself, we are using the flight beam scenery, which I have just copy-pasted from my community folder. So we should have a good airport available over there, straight from the beginning. This is looking so cool. Flying a Beluga. Who would have thought I'd ever do this on this channel? And let's be honest over here, who would have ever thought that we'd ever have such a high-level Beluga available for any simulator? Because this is really good. So, lights on, signs on, constraints LS. We have GPS primary. Not sure why the flight plan is messed up over here. Hello, thank you. And last but not least, engine start selector in norm. Perfect. Okay, a general above flight level 80. Thereafter we can descend to an altitude. Let's already go down over here, all the way to 3000. Set. And then once we're past Ageno, we can set the local QNH. Alright, so once the approach checklist is read, and we'll do that once we're on QNH, I am gonna disengage the autopilot and do a little bit of manual flying. I really want to get a feel for the aircraft. But for now, Alt Constraint Star, descent blue. Descent. Flight level 30 blue. Set QNH. QNH 1021 cross check, passing 8000 now. Checked. Approach checklist. Baro ref, QNH 1021. Seatbelts on. Minimum, Baro 700. Auto brake, low. Engine start selector. Norm. Approach checklist completed. Okay, perfect. Well then, I'd say autopilot off. We'll keep auto thrust on. Oh, that's strange. Shouldn't have that message if you use the instinctive disconnect button. That's better. So, a little bit above the profile here. Let's give it some speed brakes. Make sure that we fly back into the profile. Speed. Even though I don't know why. Because we're above the profile and faster than the target. All constraint star. Descent. All constraint star. Why? May have a little trouble here because of the turn. And descent alt 3000 blue. Perfect. But with descent mode active, we should see thrust idle now. Unless it is on a geometric path descent, but I don't think it is. And just a small thing there. We had the 602 waypoint active all the way until a couple of seconds ago, and the aircraft was descending below level 50. Shouldn't have done that. It should have stayed in 50 until this waypoint was no longer the active inbound waypoint. Okay, thrust descent. Oh, little turbulence here. So, speed is coming back, 210 knots limit on the final, remember that. Approach armed, Cat 1, lock star, glide slope blue. Speed. I really don't know why it goes to speed mode though. It absolutely shouldn't. Alt star. Alt. Okay, looking good. So, you no longer need this, my friend. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. So, speed reducing nicely. Very low S speed. Look at that. Well, we're not supposed to have this sunshade up during landing, so lock. Now look at that pitch. Reaching and maintaining 160. That's exactly what it should do. Maintain the S speed. Then glide slope star. Let's see real quick. Go around altitude 4000 set initially. Glide slope. Alright. Flaps 2. Speed checked. And gear down. Flaps 3. Speed check, flap 3. Okay. Waiting for the cabin. Even though I don't exactly know which cabin they are talking about here. Well, here we go. Cabin ready. Landing checklist. Ecam memo. Landing no blue. Landing checklist complete. So, we should have a pitch of around 4 to 5 degrees on the final. We are very very light, so I'm not 100% sure about the thrust setting we should have. Normally, at the normal passenger landing weight, I would expect something in the region of around 40% N1. But let's wait until we're stabilized and see what we're gonna get then. So, this looks pretty stable to me, and we're looking at around 40% N1. Lovely! Checked. So really well done, Indie Builds. Wow. Just wow. This is looking so good. Note to myself, stay in the flight deck during landing. It certainly does help. Come on, get me back on that glide slope. Land. Checked. Continue. Touchdown 1. And so, spoilers, reverse green, decel. Next exit to the left. 70 knots. Well, welcome to Toulouse. That went rather well. That shadow, however, no comment. Okay, so speed down to 10 knots as this is a 90-degree turn-off angle. Let's start the timer so that we can do single engine taxi, and then we can already start the APU here as well. Come on, here we go. So that's the Beluga hangar over here, and that is where we are gonna taxi. I couldn't find any information as to where they actually unload these aircraft parts, so what we are going to do is we'll taxi to the Beluga hangar and we're going to unload over there. So strange to have an A330 cockpit and sit so low. Okay, here we go. Alright, so a minute is over, so as soon as the APU is running we can turn off engine number 2. So lots of Belugas standing here, gotta find a place somewhere in between. So that's the old one. The good old A300 based Beluga. Easiest way to see it is by the engines and the wingtips. Okay, APU avail, engine 2 shutdown. And we'll park between the A380 and the other Beluga over here. So, lights off and weather radar is off. After landing checklist, radar predictive wind shear off. After landing checklist complete. Okay, so don't have any marshaller, so let's just taxi a little bit further forward and let's keep it here. So, park brake set, APU bleed, come on, it's on, shut down. I suppose we don't have a cabin crew whom we could tell to turn the doors in the park, so we'll just assume that done. Okay, parking checklist please. Park and brake our trucks. Well, brake set, engines off, fuel pumps off, parking checklist complete. So, thank you very much. That was a nice flight. A very nice one indeed. Oh, what's my view doing here? So, let's go ahead and start unloading. Front cargo. For some reason I can't get the trucks in a position. Not sure why that is. So, cargo. And the door is opening. Well, that's a beautiful looking aircraft, isn't it? And look at that. The Beluga is a lot larger than the A380. Isn't that cool? Isn't that just really, really cool? I love it. Alright guys, I hope you loved it too. Be sure to let me know in the comments, and if you've already flown your Beluga, be sure to leave your feedback so that we can get a general idea of how you're getting along with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So far my impression is that when flying those InnyBuilds Airbuses, it's a really great simulator, and I very, very much enjoy flying it. With other aircrafts, it's a mixed result for the time being, but I still haven't checked a lot of them, so I'd say time to go and check out another aircraft. For the time being though, thank you very much for watching. I do hope that you have liked this one just as much as I did. Be sure to leave your like and comment below the video, and as always, if you really love what I'm doing, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and see you all again on the next one.